block durations. This video is going to be about block durations. Mostly about why it's bad to indefinitely block an IP. So, an IP changes. So, with block durations, you have 3 hours and 12 hours. They aren't used commonly, and are used with very dynamic addresses that change extremely frequently for more minor offenses. 24 hours is a lot more common. If you're a first-time editor, generally it's 24 hours, so sometimes they jump immediately up to 31. If you don't specify direct duration, it'll go to 31 hours. Then you have 36 hours, 48 hours, 60 hours, 72 hours. Now, all those are rare. However, for IPs, they could be used in minor vandalism, but for accounts, they're generally used for edit warning. That's why, in most cases, when accounts with actual advanced permissions get blocked, they're almost never indefinitely, because for edit warning. That's also why, for these larger accounts, blocks for edit warning are often longer because they escalate. Smith 0124 had 5 edit warning blocks, and his last one was 2 weeks. Just 15 hours later, it became an indefinite because it was found out it was a sock puppet of Peter Jack 1, but still. Now, he was only an extended confirmed user, but generally, it's only when they find out that they were sneakily abusing multiple accounts where the real problem begins, and when they're definitely blocked, or for other issues. But I mean, they're both okay. In any case, in most instances, these are edit warning, but then it jumps up to 1 week. So why do you sometimes see blocks in between 72 hours and a week? So 1 week is what I'd say the difference between a minor offense and a major offense for an IP. Because once it's above a week, that's pretty serious. One week, though, the thing with a week is that for accounts, this is generally for edit warning. And a week is like, 1 week. Like that's where you're beginning to change. But you sometimes see them between because, for example, Cinderella 157, when largely recyclable was banned by the Arbitration Committee. When they were banned by the Arbitration Committee on August 15, 2018, Cinderella 157 was actually banned from editing the history of Germany from 1932 to 1945 indefinitely. They could appeal 6 months after, and then 6 months after the decision, and then every 6 months after. However, they violated topic ban on they violated topic ban on June 30th, but they hadn't edited since July 3rd. So even though they wanted to a 1 week block, they figured that since they hadn't edited in 2 days, that a 5 week block was appropriate. And that's when it's to enforce an arbitrary decision. That's why the maximum of these blocks that can happen is 1 year, though generally they only last around between 72 hours and 1 week. Then you have 2 weeks, which is generally the most severe edit warning block that they give, then a month, then 3 months, then 6 months. Once you get, I'd say, around above 1 to 3 months, I mean, you do have some users where it's serious enough that it requires month-long blocks, but not so serious to the extent that it requires an indefinite block. And now something to fix on my Fitbit. I'll continue with the video. So the thing is the fact that it requires particularly severe misconduct. Well, it's not severe enough that it would go right to an in death. That's also around the maximum 2 weeks to a month you see for dynamic IPs. Though my IP is a static one, so those blocks can go for longer. As for so it goes 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. This is almost always for static IPs. Almost always for static IPs. CPHL was actually blocked for 72 hours, then a week, then a month, and then 6 months before it became indefinite for socking. But before that, it was a 6-month block for a 4th block for copyright violations. Honestly, I think that it probably should have went to an in-def immediately, especially given the history of clueless unblock requests. And 6 months, like you rarely see that for accounts. But then it goes from 3 months to 6 months. Well, what about in between? Well, there's no set duration for 2 months. Generally, they have to type in 60 or 61 days. But actually, it's generally 61 days. But 4 months you can't actually type that in directly, so you do 122 days. But it's not a set duration, and it won't be unless one of our 12 interface administrators, which includes one interface administrator bot, decides to do it. There used to actually only be 10 of these. However, we got an 11th, Tony Baloney. He said he needed it, and then they said that Tony Baloney didn't need it, but he said that as a trusted user, they were okay with giving it anyway. It's a long story. Anyway, so now you're probably wondering, well, what about a year? A year is almost always for accounts known to be very abusive. IP is almost always known to be abusive. Central Time 301, before he was found out to be socking 2 months into his block, actually was blocked for a period of 1 year for general long-term unwillingness or inability to learn, while still giving him a chance to edit in the future. That, however, was both A, pretty generous, and B, however, a year. That's the longest account block I've ever seen. It goes 2 years and 3 years, which are generally only used for either very severe accounts or open proxies, which can be blocked for any period. However, blocking for longer than, I'd say, 3 to 5 years is frowned upon, as then even static IPs do change. That's the thing. ZZUUZZ is all against indefinitely blocking IP addresses. I mean, a lot of them that were blocked in the past, even from pre-2009, he unblocked, even one from 2017. Now, I think commuting it is, and ST47 actually is a link that says indefinitely blocked IPs. They'll let you reblock, and the links is 1 year or unblock completely. Honestly, for that, I think scaling it back to 1 year is good. But, On May 17, 2019, he went on a whole spree of unblocking indefinitely blocked IPs. Because there were over 20,000 at the time of when they had a village pump proposal where they had an RFC about this. In April 2019, but they're trying to lower and lower that. Like, that's why in 2009 they only had 54 indefinitely blocked IPs, whereas in years before that they had thousands. Ever since 2004, where blocking was introduced. That's because back in the old days, they didn't know that IP addresses changed. Also, there were always IPv4. IPv6 is actually relatively new, so that's why you rarely see IPv6 blocked indefinitely. But as for IPv4, so yeah. Yeah. There's one IP though that's very static and is banned. So that's the one IP that's, But you're probably wondering, well, Andrew, how about you rank IP and account blocks from strictest to least strict? Well, in my opinion, there are two things. There are going to be points where we split off, and like account creation disabled and email disabled with talk page access enabled is relatively rare. Generally, it happens when you lose email and talk page access, and then TPA gets restored, but not email. But I'm going to say that for both of them, I put them between account creation block and account creation block cannot edit own talk page. In any case, here we go. So the first one, so for IPs, it's a non-only account creation block. It's very rare to see account creation not blocked for IP, and it's done under special and unique circumstances. This allows them to appeal normally, whereas collateral damage, because it's a non-only, would have to just request an account. Then you're probably wondering though, what's the next strictest? It depends. If you're collateral of a large range block, I'd say a non-only account creation block cannot edit own talk page. You can't appeal normally, it has to be via UTRS, but you could just create an account and edit normally. Whereas it's just account creation blocked if you're if you're the target because you can appeal normally, but if you're collateral damage, you can't. You can't edit until you have IP block exemption. Then will be account creation block cannot edit own talk page. When YAML revokes TPA, generally the duration is changed and increased, and she converts it to a hard block, which essentially just means that all editing is blocked. So here's the thing though, if you're collateral damage, there's no way to edit. You have to request IPBE via the unblocked ticket request system. Now you're probably wondering, what's the next one? Well, then it would obviously be account creation blocked, email disabled, cannot edit own talk page. Because having it a non-only, I mean, IPs can't send emails. Accounts, however, can. Accounts can send email, but no, because that access has been revoked. Yep.